Hello everyone. In this video, I will show you how to solve a Go programming model using Lingo. In the previous video, we have developed a Go programming model for the investment case on page 660. Now let's solve this model. To solve it, first we got to solve the model for priority 1. Remember, priority 1 in our model looks like this. We just copy priority 1 model in here. The objective is to minimize D1 plus to make sure that the total risk index is at most 700, and we have the same constraints. So the objective function is minimize d1 plus and subject to this constraint. To solve it in the Lingo, we just copy this model over Lingo. First, we have the objective function, and then we have constraints. These are constraints for the priority 1, and we need to add semicolon, asterisk, and multiplications to the equation. Again, we are solving the model for the priority 1 with the goal to keep the total risk index at most 700. Similarly, we select the option to have all variables assume non-negative. So let's solve it, and this is the solution. Please remember that the goal is to minimize D1 plus. In this solution, we found D1 plus is 0. Of course, in this case, it also suggests that we should not buy anything. Technically speaking, with this solution, we do meet the priority 1, but then we don't meet the priority 2 because if we don't buy any stocks and we don't earn any return. If we look back at the second goal, which is to minimize D2 minus, let's see what D2 minus is in this solution. D2 minus is $9,000 and D2 plus is 0. Basically, it shows our second goal is not met. The second goal is to earn at least $9,000 of annual return, but in this case, we earn nothing. In conclusion, with this solution, the priority 1 is met, but the priority 2 is not met. Let's solve the second model, the model for priority 2. Basically, everything is the same except the objective function is different. The objective function is to minimize D2 minus to make sure that our annual return should be at least $9,000. Now I just modify this current one to D2 minus, and we see how this works. This is our solution. You can see that this solution suggests that we should buy all US oil stocks. We have D2 minus is 0, right? So the goal 2 is met. Let's examine the goal 1 again. The goal 1 is to minimize D1 plus, but with this solution, D1 plus is 800. Hence, the goal 2 is met, but the goal 1 is not met. So we have not found a solution that meets both of our goals. But again, please remember that goal 1 is the first priority. That means we do not want to sacrifice goal 1 for goal 2. That's why goal 1 is called the first priority, the most important one. Let's run this model again, and we add another constraint to this priority 2 model. We want to make sure goal 1 is met. That means D1 plus should be 0. So we add another constraint saying that D1 plus should be equal to 0. Again, this constraint is to make sure the goal 1 is met. So we are trying to satisfy the first priority. In other words, we try to find the best solution for goal 2 on the condition that goal 1 must be met. This is the priority 2 model, but we add another constraint for goal 1, and let's solve it. And we found a solution. The solution shows that we should buy 800 shares of US oil stocks and 1200 shares of hub property stock. Let's examine goal 1. D1 plus is equal to 0, so goal 1 is met. What about goal 2? D2 minus is 600, so goal 2 is still not met. That means the annual return is not $9,000. So what is the total annual return in this case? Let's look at the goal equation that we have for goal 2. D2 plus is 0. D2 minus is 600. The annual return is 9,000 minus D2 minus. Thus, this solution shows that the annual return that we can earn is $8,400. In conclusion, by solving this goal programming model, we found an optimal solution which allows us to meet the first goal and earn the best annual return for the second goal given the goal 1 is met. Basically, with this problem, we cannot find a solution that meets both goals. If we meet the first priority, which the risk index should not exceed 700, we still can get an annual return. Let's put it here. The annual return equal 9,000 minus 600, which is $8,400. Okay, and that is a solution for this goal programming model. In this problem, we set two different goals. On one side, we want to contain the risk, and on the other side, we want to increase the return. This is a very hard decision to make since the first priority, the most important one, is to contain the risk. We want to make sure the total risk index does not exceed 700, which will affect the total annual return. The solution shows that U equals 800 and H equals 1200. Thus, the best solution for this problem is to buy 800 shares of US oil stock and 1200 shares of hub property stocks. And that is how we solve a Go programming model using Lingo. Thank you and bye now.